Continuing on, Canto II, the issue, page 13. Acquaintance she must win from her past's bond, and old account of suffering exhaust. Strike out from time the soul's long compounded debt, and the heavy servitudes of the karmic gods, the slow revenge of unforgiving law, and the deep need of universal pain, and hard sacrifice and tragic consequence. Out of a timeless barrier she must break, penetrate with her thinking depths the void's monstrous hush, look into the lonely eyes of immortal death, and with her nude spirit measure the infinite's night. The great and dolorous moment now was close, a mailed battalion marching to its doom. The last long days went by with heavy tramp, long but too soon to pass, too near to end, alone amid the many faces loved. Aware among unknowing happy hearts, her armored spirit kept watch upon the hours, listening for a foreseen tremendous step. In the closed beauty of the inhuman wilds, a combatant in silent dreadful list. The world unknowing, for the world she stood. No helper had she save the strength within. There was no witness of terrestrial eyes, the gods above and nature's soul below. Where the spectator of that mighty strife around her were the austere sky-pointing hills, and the green, murmurous, broad, deep thoughted woods muttered incessantly their muffled spell. A dense, magnificent, colored, self-wrapped life, draped in the leaves, vivid, emerald, monotone, and set with checkered sunbeams and blithe flowers, immured her destiny's secluded scene. There had she grown to the stature of her spirit, the genius of titanic silences, steeping her soul in its wide loneliness. Had shown to her herself's bare reality and matted her with her environment. Its solitude greatened her human hours. With the background of the eternal and unique, a force of spare, direct necessity, reduced the heavy framework of man's days and his overburdening mass of outward needs to a first thin strip of simple animal wants and the mighty wildness of the primitive earth, and the brooding multitude of patient trees, and the musing sapphire leisure of the sky, and the solemn weight of the slowly passing months had left her in deep room for thought of God. There was her drama, radiant, prolong-lived, a spot for the eternal's tread on earth, set in the claustral yearning of the woods and watched by the aspiration of the peaks, appeared through an arrate opening in time, where stillness listening felt the unspoken word, and the hours forgot to pass towards grief and change. Here with the suddenness divine advents have, repeating the marvel of the first descent, changing to rapture the dull earthly round. Love came to her, hiding the shadow, death. Well might he find in her his perfect shrine, since first the earth's beginnings heavenward growth began, through all the long ordeal of the race. Hey, Piggy Deedles, what you doing, girly girl? That's my girly girl. Come here. Doodles. Come here. That's my girly girl. Come here. Sweetest puppy dog in the whole wide world. Come here. Don't be shy. That's not my girly girl. Ooh, the doodles. Little bubbles. Sorry. Public service announcement from my guardian angel, Miss Piggy. Gotta rub that belly. Sweetest puppy dog in the whole wide world. Okay. Where were we? Here with the suddenness divine advents have, repeating the marvel of the first descent, changing to rapture the dull earthly round, love came to her hiding the shadow, death. Well might he find in her his perfect shrine. Since first the earth's beginnings, heavenward growth began, through all the long ordeal of the race, never a rarer creature bore his shaft than burning test of the Godhead in our parts, a lightning from the heights of our abyss, all in her pointed to a nobler kind, near to earth's wideness, intimate with heaven, exalted and swift her young large visioned spirit, voyaging through the worlds of splendor and of calm, overflew the ways of thought to unborn things. Ardent was her self poised, unstumbling will. Her mind a sea of white sincerity, passionate and flow, had not one turbid wave, as in a mystic and dynamic dance, a priestess of immaculate ecstasies. That's my belly. Sweetest little puppy dog in the whole world. Near to earth's wideness, intimate with heaven, exalted and swift her young large visioned spirit, voyaging through worlds of splendor and of calm, overflew the ways of thought to unborn things. Ardent was her self-poised, unstumbling will, her mind a sea of white sincerity, passionate in flow, had not one turbid wave, as in a mystic and dynamic dance, a priestess of immaculate ecstasies, inspired and ruled from truth's revealing vault, moves in some prophet cavern of the gods, a heart of silence in the hands of joy, inhabited with rich creative beats, a body like a parable of dawn, that seemed a niche for veiled divinity, or golden temple door to things beyond. Immortal rhythm swayed in her time-born steps, her look, her smile awoke celestial sense. Even in earth stuff, in their intense delight, poured a supernal beauty on men's lives. A wide self-giving was her native act, a magnanimity as of sea or sky, enveloped with its greatness all that came, and gave a sense of a greatened world. Her kindly care was a sweet temperate sun, S-U-N, yes, sun. Her high passion a blue heaven's equipoise, as might a soul fly like a hunted bird, escaping with tired wings from a world of storms, and a quiet reach like a remembered breast in a haven of safety and splendid soft repose, one could drink life back in streams of honey fire. Recover the lost habit of happiness, feel her bright nature's glorious ambience, and preen joy in her warmth and colors rule, a deep of compassion, a hushed sanctuary. Her inward help unbarred a gate in heaven. Love in her was wider than the universe. The whole world could take refuge in her single heart. The great unsatisfied Godhead here could dwell, vacant on the dwarf self's imprisoned air. Her mood could harbor his sublimer breath. Oh my girl. spirit that can make all things divine, for even her gulfs were secrecies of light. And once she was the stillness and the word, a continent of self-diffusing peace, an ocean of untrembling virgin fire. The strength, the silence of the gods were hers. In her he found a vastness like his own. His high, warm, subtle ether he refound, and moved in her, as in his natural home. In her he met his own eternity. Till then no mournful line had barred this ray on the frail breast of this precarious earth, since her orbed sight in its breath-fastened house, opening its sympathy with happier stars, where life is not exposed to sorrowful change, remembered beauty death-claimed lids ignore, and wondered at this world of fragile forms carried on canvas strips of shimmering time. The impunity of unborn mites was hers, although she leaned to bear the human load. Her walk kept still the measures of the gods. Earth's breath had failed to strain that brilliant glass, unmeasured with the dust of our mortal atmosphere. It still reflected heaven's spiritual joy. Although they saw who lived within her light, her playmate in the sempiternal spheres, descended from its unattainable realms, in her attracting advent luminous wake, the white fire dragon bird of endless bliss, drifting with burning wings above her days. Heaven's tranquil shield guarded the missioned child. A glowing orbit was her early term, years like golden raiment of the gods that pass, her youth set throned in calm felicity. But joy cannot endure until the end. There is a darkness in terrestrial things that will not suffer too long glad a note. On her too closed the inescapable hand. The armed immortal bore the snare of time, one dealt with her who meets the burdened great, a signer of the ordeal and the path, who chooses in this holocaust of the soul, death, fall, and sorrow as the spirit's goads, the dubious Godhead with his torch of pain lit up the chasm of the unfinished world, and called her to fill with her vast self the abyss. August and pitiless in his calm outlook, heightened the Eternal's dreadful strategy. He measured the difficult with the might, and dug more deep the gulf that all must cross. Assailing her divinest elements, he made her heart kin to the striving human heart, and forced her strength to its appointed road. For this he had accepted mortal breath. To wrestle with the shadow she had come, and must confront the riddle of man's birth, and life's brief struggle in dumb matter's night, whether to bear with ignorance and death, or hew the ways of immortality. To win or lose the godlike game for man? Was her soul's issue thrown with destiny's dice, but not to submit and suffer was she born? To lead, to deliver was her glorious part. Here was no fabric of terrestrial make, fit for a day's use by busy, careless powers, an image fluttering on the screen of fate, half animated for a passing show, or a cast on the ocean of desire, flung to the eddies in a ruthless sport, and tossed along the gulfs of circumstance, a creature born to bend beneath the yoke, and a chattel and a plaything of time's lords, or one more pawn who comes destined to be pushed, one slow move forward on the measureless board, in the chess play of earth's soul with doom, such as the human figure drawn by time, a conscious frame where here a self-born force. In this enigma of a dusk of God, this slow and strange uneasy compromise of limiting nature with a limitless soul, where all must move between an ordered chance and an uncaring blind necessity. Too high the fire spiritual dare not blaze. If once it met the intense original flame, an answering touch might shatter all measures made, and earth sink down with the weight of the infinite. A gal of this immense material world, across the road stands armed, a stone-eyed law. At every gate the huge dim scintillas pace, a grey tribunal of the ignorance, an inquisition of the priest of night. In judgment sit on the adventurer's soul, and the dual tables of the karmic norm restrain the titan in us and the god. Pain with its lash, joy with its silver bribe. Guard the wheels, circling immobility, a bond on the too large wide open heart. Death stays the journeying discoverer. Life thus is the throne of the inconscient safe, while the tardy coilings of the aeons pass, and the animal browses in the sacred fence, and the gold hawk can cross the skies no more. But one stood up, lit the limitless flame, arraigned by the dark power that hates all bliss, in the dire court where life must pay for joy, sentenced by the mechanic justiciar. To the afflicting penalty of man's hopes, her head she bowed, not to the stark decree, barring her helpless heart to destiny's stroke. So bows and must the mind-born will in man, obedient to the statutes fixed of old, admitting without appeal the nether gods. In her the superhuman cast its seed, inapt to fold its mighty wings of dream. Her spirit refused to hug the common soil, or finding all life's golden meanings robbed. Excuse me. Or finding all life's golden meanings robbed, compound with earth, struck from the starry list, or quench with black despair the God-given light, accustomed to the eternal and the true, her being conscious of its divine founts. Ask not for mortal frailty pain's relief, patched not with failure, bargain, or compromise. A work she had to do, a word to speak, writing the unfinished story of her soul in thoughts and actions graved in nature's book. She accepted not to close the luminous page, cancel her commerce with eternity, or set a signature of weak assent to the brute balance of the world's exchange, a force in her that toiled since earth was made, accomplishing in life the great world plan, pursuing after death immortal aims, repugnant to admit frustration's barren role, forfeit the meaning of her birth in time, obey the government of the casual fact, or yield her high density up to the passing chance, or yield her high density up to passing chance. In her own self she found her high recourse. She matched with the iron law her sovereign right. Her single will opposed the cosmic rule. To stay the wheels of doom, this greatness rose. At the unseen's knock upon her hidden gates, her strength made greater by the lightning's touch. Awoke from slumber in her heart's recess, it bore the stroke of that which kills and saves. Oof, I'm going to read that again. Awoke from slumber in her heart's recess, it bore the stroke of that which kills and saves. Across the awful march no eye can see, barring its dreadful route no will can change. She faced the engines of the universe. A heart stood in the way of the driving wheels. Its giant workings paused in front of a mind. Its stark conventions met the flame of a soul. A magic leverage suddenly is caught that moves the veiled ineffable's timeless will. A prayer, a master act, a king idea can link man's strength to a transcendent force. The miracle is made the common rule. One mighty deed can change the course of things. A lonely thought becomes omnipotent. All now seems nature's massed machinery and endless servitude to material rule and long determination's rigid chain, her firm and changeless habits aping law, her empire of unconscious deft device annul the claim of man's free human will. He too is a machine amid machines. A piston brain pumps out the shapes of thought. A beating heart cuts out emotions' modes. An insentient energy fabricates a soul, or the figure of the world reveals the signs of a tide chance repeating her old steps in circles around matter's binding post, a random series of inept events to which reason lends elusive senses here, or the empiric life's instinctive search, or a vast ignorant mind's colossal work. But wisdom comes, and vision grows within. Then nature's instrument crowns himself her king. He feels his witnessing self and conscious power. His soul steps back and sees the light supreme. His soul steps back and sees the light supreme. One more time for those people in the back, way in the back. His soul steps back and sees the light supreme. A Godhead stands behind the brute machine. This truth broke in a triumphant... Nah. This truth broke in a triumph of fire. A victory was won for God and man. The deity revealed its hidden face. The great world mother now in her arose. A living choice reversed fate's cold dead turn, affirmed the spirit's tread on circumstance, pressed back the senseless dire revolving wheel, and stopped the mute march of necessity. A flaming warrior from the eternal peaks, empowered to force the door denied and closed, smote from death's visage its dumb absolute, and burst the bounds of and burst the bounds of consciousness and time. End of Canto II. I apologize, y'all. I got into it towards the end, but tried to get a little bit too saucy with it. The last couple lines. Hope y'all are enjoying it. If there's any way I can read different that might make y'all more annoyed, be sure to let me know. I'll do it. But other than that, love always wins. Victory to the divine light. We're all one. Be the change you want to see in the world, but do it right now. Don't wait till later today. Be that change now. I love you. We're all one. Todos somos uno. Muy bien.